Look at an old British village, and you see something that feels built to last forever. Thick stone walls, slate roofs, Norman church towers. These are places that project an illusion of absolute permanence. Beneath the soil of the modern landscape lie the remains of roughly 3,000 deserted medieval villages. These were entire communities that vanished so completely that, in many cases, only faint earthworks in the grass mark where they once stood. Consider the modern anomaly of Arkwright town. This was a Derbyshire community that survived a century of decline and 2 world wars. But then, in the winter of 1988, a resident went to light her fire and was met with a flash of blue flame erupting from an unlit, unconnected fireplace. There was no gas line to her house. Instead, invisible methane was bleeding directly up through the bedrock. It was pooling inside the cavity walls and directly beneath the floorboards of every single home in the village, silently building to highly explosive levels. Arkwright town illustrates a harsh reality. Communities disappear when the systems supporting them, whether industrial or geological, suddenly turn hostile. We are going to dissect the specific forces that kill a town. Sometimes the end comes almost instantly. Take Rattray on the northeast coast of Scotland. By 1720, it had been a prosperous, bustling fishing port for over 400 years. Then the environment simply mutinied. A freak, furious easterly storm battered the coastline overnight. When the sun came up, the harbor entrance, the stone castle, and the entire town were completely sealed beneath massive drifts of sand. We like to think sudden destruction like that is a relic of ancient weather patterns. But the mechanics of overnight erasure evolved into something man-made, which brings us back to the crisis in Arkwright. This methane was a byproduct of abandoned coal workings beneath the village. When the colliery shut down, gas migrated upward, turning houses into ticking bombs. Authorities installed pumps to vent the gas, but they failed. With explosion risks rising, the only option was immediate evacuation. The physical village itself was handed a brutal final sentence. Old Arkwright was completely demolished. The ground beneath it was then open-cast mined just to rip out the hazardous coal seams causing the leak. This photo shows the bizarre postscript. Between 1993 and 1995, an entirely new Arkwright town was built right across the road. It has identical street names and the exact same layout, rebuilt in stark modern brick over the corpse of its own history. Whether it's driven by thousands of tons of sand or a creeping toxic gas, sudden erasure removes a town's physical footprint instantly. The community gets zero time to adapt. Other towns are erased by deliberate human calculation. In the strathnaver tally in 1814, communities were wiped out to clear land for something far more profitable than people: sheep. At the township of Rosal, estate workers arrived with a sheriff's writ and gave the residents exactly 30 minutes to flee. When the time was up, they set fire to the homes while families were still dragging their belongings out the doors. But violent evictions are rare compared to the most common town killer of all, the slow bleed of economic obsolescence. Consider the centuries-old village of Wycoller in Lancashire. This image captures the lifeblood of Wycoller. For generations, the entire village survived on the intense manual labor of hand-loom weavers, turning out textiles from inside their own cottages. And this shows what killed them. During the Industrial Revolution, massive factory floors filled with mechanized looms sprang up in nearby towns. These industrial giants ruthlessly undercut the independent weavers. The residents couldn't compete with the speed or the prices of the machines. So, family by family, the starving weavers packed up and abandoned their ancestral homes to follow the work into the crowded cities. Looking at these crumbling stone cottages, you can see the results of that decades-long decay. Wycoller was left with nothing but empty rooms and silent looms. A sandstorm causes immediate terror, but the slow bleed carries a tragic generational despair. Becoming economically irrelevant is a quieter disaster, but it is equally fatal. Today, these erased communities survive only as moss-covered foundations, unmarked graves, and isolated stone arches standing in empty fields. These ruins serve as the physical evidence of economic and environmental progress, the tangible scars left by the mechanics of abandonment. And the hollowing out process never actually stopped. The exact same systemic pressures are still operating right now. We see it in the rural post office pulling down its shutters for the last time. We see it when the local bus route gets slashed to twice a week, or when the village primary school is forced to amalgamate another school 5 miles away. The permanence of any community is a myth. Our towns, our homes, and our histories exist entirely at the continuous mercy of the economic systems we build and the shifting earth beneath our feet.